If you tell me you've got a desire, I'm all in. Do you want to grow?
Absolutely.
Take notes and make sure it improves your business. Everybody wants to grow. You deserve to grow.
You don't pitch to investors to try your luck. You pitch to investors to win.
If it's not challenging, I don't think it's worth it.
The right advice to give in business is validate the idea first.
Most of you out there who want to grow, your issue is just starting, isn't it?
It's important that people just follow what they want to do.
It's an opportunity of a lifetime for all of us.
The podcast is not about them growing, it's about them helping others grow. Hello and welcome to I Want to Grow, and I Want to Grow is all about that. It's about everybody's growth, but again, with our guest, it's not about their growth individually, it's about what they're going to be doing for others. And today we have a special guest in this wonderful Scale 7, Amara. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today, and I can't wait to hear your story. So please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity, and it's amazing to see initiatives like this in Doha. It makes me very happy. My name is Mohamed Amara. I am a co-founder and CEO of Pronto, a fashion tech startup that just launched a few months ago in Doha.
Just a few months ago. So where's your story? Where do you come from?
The story started 4 years ago, as a matter of fact. And a little bit about my background. I am a computer engineering graduate from Hamad bin Khalifa University. And my background is specifically in software engineering. I served as a full-time software engineer at Siemens Qatar for 3 years. And that's mainly my passion. However, since I was young, since I was a child, I've always had these natural leadership skills, I believe, and I've always had a passion to start my own business. I've always had interest in the entire business field, and that's why we started working on our own personal startup, me along with my co-founders, I'd say around the end of sophomore year, second year in university. And that's where the journey of Pronto started.
But you say about Siemens, and you kind of, how did you get into fashion? How did
exactly.
What's the connection?
That's the most common question I receive, actually. So the team consists of 4 main co-founders, and we are all software engineers or computer engineers. However, in our second year in uni, obviously with the rich diversity that Education City in Doha has, there is multiple universities of so many different majors and programs, and we used to interact with students from all around Education City. So many of our friends were students in VCU, Virginia Commonwealth, Qatar, and one of the main founders actually of Pronto, who unfortunately had to leave the team after a couple of years, was a fashion designer.
Oh, wow.
Johan Medina, our chief tech officer, has been a model in the local fashion industry for over 9 years now. And myself, have always had some interest in the fashion industry, not too deep, but I think it was sparked by Pronto.
Whoa. But so when did that bond all of a sudden? So all of you were from a technology perspective. Right. When did that bond just all come in and click together? How did that come together?
Yeah. So how it started, it started in 2019. We actually had already worked on a different startup called Awalan. It's a smart seating management business. And we actually won the Best Startup Award in Qatar for that business in 2019 for that specific startup. But then things didn't really work out, and we had to let go of that idea. we felt a big void once we stopped our entrepreneurial journey when that startup didn't go as planned. So we were trying to find a new idea, a new idea to start a business.
But did you at that stage, once you'd kind of made that kind of mistake and you closed it down, did you want to kind of, I know that you found a void, but was there a part of you that said, no, that's enough for us, let's just get a proper job?
It was actually the opposite. I think that gave us even more motivation to start another business, because by then we have identified all the issues and problems that we could have avoided and mitigated to have a better experience with our startup. So it gave us more motivation to start a new business, and that's when Pronto came. I'd actually tell you just like the story of how the concept first came to mind. I was sitting in one of the study areas in Texas A&M Doha with my colleague Johan, and we were both taking classes together, engineering classes together in that university. We were, I think, sitting in lunch break, and we were just having a conversation about her day. And she told me, I have been looking for this one specific white boots for almost a week, and I had to go to 5 different shopping malls to find it. And obviously, because of the experience that we went through, our minds were kind of programmed to always connect whatever we think about to business, to a startup. Whatever we have a conversation about could easily turn into a business idea. Yeah. So obviously we were talking about it, and we said, okay, this is a very clear problem in a specific industry, which is the retail and fashion industry, and we could easily find a solution to that given our software engineering skills and what we have. So we thought we could start a platform, an online catalog that hosts all the fashion brands in Doha, including all the fast fashion brands in Doha, to help customers identify and find the items quickly and easily. Right, so that was the initial idea. That was Pronto. And that's where the name comes from. So Pronto in Italian means quick or fast, right? So obviously it was like a nice light bulb moment, and we were too excited to share it with our friends. And back then it was me, Kevin, and Johan. We were the 3 individuals working on the first startup that we kind of let go of. So we met, all the 3 of us, and we were thinking, how could we make this happen? Obviously, you need to study the feasibility of your idea and make sure that there is actually a business opportunity. There's so many ideas out there that could make sense.
I like, so you come up with the idea, but then you've done some market research.
Yeah, exactly. So when we realized that we had to understand the market that we're about to tap into, we thought, maybe we don't have enough experience there. So that's when we connected with our colleague in VCU, who was a fashion designer. Her name is Heidi Rashad. And we joined powers, and we started working on Pronto. That's when we started shaping the idea of Pronto.
Did you ever look at that stage when you're bringing people into your business? Mm-hmm. You can see the business getting smaller and smaller with how much you're going to have of that part. Did that ever worry you, or were you just looking for people that could play a role?
Right. So obviously in the entrepreneurial field, they always say the bigger the team, the more risky and dangerous it could get in the future. Especially that we were friends and colleagues working together, and there's always kind of bad connotation around friends working together. But for us, honestly, there was a lot of motivation, seriousness, and dedication to help us, push through. We needed that amount of, or that number of members in the team to have a complete, well-rounded idea. each single one of us served a very important role in the making of Pronto. So even though relatively it could seem like a big team, I still think that every single member throughout the journey was heavily needed in the success story of Pronto. So we all met together and we started studying our market, but given our enthusiasm in creating a tech product, and that was our main goal. The whole idea was to create an application, a tech product, because that was the field of our experience, that could basically revolutionize the fashion industry. So I think it could have been a mistake, but we jumped too quickly and too early in developing the product itself before studying the market enough. So we worked on the product for almost a year. It was all new to us. So Pronto is a hybrid application that is developed using React Native and React. And our backend is served by Firebase. So all of these platforms and programming languages and software were all new to us. So there was a huge learning curve for each team member. After we have progressed enough in the development of the product, we thought, okay, I think we can start reaching out to brands and see if they would be interested in being on board. That's when we realized that it's impossible. We hit a brick wall. We started contacting fast fashion brands and we realized that almost all of them are working under bigger holding groups, and we need the approval of these holding groups to have them on board. And that seemed like an impossible task to achieve.
Daunting, right?
And it was very kind of shocking for us. It was a small setback. We felt really bad. We felt very demotivated. Is this the end of Pronto? And that's when the fear started developing. COVID came into play during the same period. We still had a pretty advanced product, I believe. We have progressed a lot in the development of the application itself. That, I think, was the main comforting factor that we had that kept us going.
Yeah.
We said, regardless where we reshape Pronto to be or what kind of idea Pronto is going to end up being, we still have a pretty advanced application to serve that idea. So we kept going, but when COVID-19 hit, Kevin Yusufai is currently he's our chief finance officer, but all of us, as I mentioned, we were all involved in the tech side of the business. He had to go back home because he's an international student, so he had to go back home during COVID. And then Heidi Rashad traveled to Florence, Italy to do her master's in brand management, fashion brand management. And basically, as you can tell, the team started disappearing and scattering. And that was very worrying. I won't lie, it was a big setback for us. And because of the challenges, we were doing our studies. We weren't physically together. And on top of that, communication was very difficult. The progress slowed down dramatically. In some cases, we had to kind of improvise. In so many occasions, Johan had to take over and improvise. Kevin did the same. Honestly, credit to all of them. They all did an amazing job. But then towards the end of 2020, that's when we heard about M7. And with M7 comes Scale 7. which is the fashion tech accelerator that we're in right now. They have called or opened an application window for their first incubation program. And honestly, at that stage, we only had an idea and we had an MVP, I'd say. I don't think it was developed enough to call it a product. It was, barely an MVP. But we thought, why not? We have gone through a huge setback. Maybe this is the spark that would bring back life into Pronto. So we joined the incubation program in 2021. Thankfully, we were accepted and we were welcomed in a very nice way by the Scale 7 team. They were very supportive, very helpful, very lenient and understanding of the stage that we're at. The incubation program is mainly a program where a startup goes through a series of workshops and one-on-one sessions with experts from all around the world in the fashion industry to help the business grow and shape into a business that's ready to launch in the market.
What do you think they saw in you? I know Scale 7. What did they see in you in your startup?
Right. I mean, we might need to ask them, but what I think they saw in us, and that's what I always mention first whenever I interact with a potential investor, a designer, a key player, or a game changer in the fashion industry. The first thing that I always mention about Pronto is the team. I think that's the main differentiating factor that led to our success in the market. We've always had this culture in the team where every single team member is open to learn anything, no matter how weird, difficult, unfamiliar it is. We were always ready to take on a challenge and learn something new. The team is very flexible. It's a team of extremely ambitious individuals who have a lot of energy and a lot of commitment. Something I always say is, my friends or family members would ask me, like, how were you able to start a business given the circumstances, given the fact that you were tapping into a completely new industry that has nothing to do really with your background experience? What is the main reason behind your success? And it's always commitment, right? It's dedication. I think nowadays with the development of social media and the ease of reaching information, it's extremely clear and obvious and easy to know what steps to take to start a startup or to start a business. It's very easy. But I think what makes it very hard, and the reason why we don't see that many successful startups around us, is the fact that it requires a very long breath and a lot of commitment and dedication. And that's what I think our team had, and that's what I think Scale 7 saw in us.
I think the elements that you need as a startup are simple. The fundamentals in business are always the same. It's how you put it into action.
Exactly.
And listening to your story, it sounds like you went through a lot of negatives in a lot of kind of moments that you had to pivot and change direction.
Definitely.
Was that how tough? You say how tough was that? And what that defining moment when you looked up and said, M7, Scale 7. Mm-hmm. This is going to change our lives again, and you got back on page and you talk about your success. How did that, was it an instant moment, or was everybody wanting this to happen?
Yeah, so I won't lie, it was actually difficult for us to go through, and we had so many challenging moments that we had to overcome. It was not a moment though. I think we were very good at communicating with each other as a team. We were very supportive. It came at different moments, but we made sure that there would always be someone in the team that could lift the rest of the members up and keep us going, right? But the main thing was, how could we survive long enough in the market to expose ourselves to enough tail events that could make the biggest change, right? Scale 7 was one of them. And there were so many other examples of opportunities that came our way where we have not even imagined to have, but we just tried to sustain enough in the market to expose ourselves to these opportunities. And when they came, we just took them.
But I think, let me tell you a story. I came in and I was just asking around and I'm saying, what is Pronto? I told you I'd never done any research on you, and we're going to find out what you do actually. But I asked a few people and I said, who are Pronto? And they looked up and they said, you'll know, because they're always here. There's always somebody here from Pronto. They're always working. They're always putting in the time and effort. And I think that the elements of being a startup, it's like I'm listening to you. Yeah, team is probably one of the biggest things that investors look for. Mm-hmm. But there's got to be the other elements too, because just one item doesn't make a dish, right?
Correct.
You've got to have those elements, and you've got to put the love into those elements, mm-hmm. and you've got to bring out the best in yourselves. And exactly. It sounds like you've done that, but you're also willing to work hard. Who's the one that puts all the discipline into place? Because if people, who's have you got the discipline element in it, and who is that person that's revered?
Right. I mean, the team members, we all have different personalities.
It's lovely, right?
Right. It's very diverse. Some of us are very quiet. Kevin, for example, is a very collected, composed individual. He's very quiet, was extremely smart. And obviously, something that I just want to mention before I forget, each team member has a very unique set of skills. They're extremely successful individuals in their fields. Some of us are, Kevin, for example, is a programming and math world champion. Johan Medina is one of the brightest graduates of Hamad bin Khalifa, and she's already a holder of a master's degree in data science. So what I'm trying to say is that each single individual in the team is very ambitious, and they have their own set of skills.
Come on, what's yours?
Mine, though, is I believe it's and that's what we talk a lot about in the team. So we need to follow a structure. We need to follow a structure so things don't get out of control. And me being the CEO of the company, my main role is to make sure that the C-suite is operating as they are supposed to be. So my main role is to make sure that each department is performing in the most efficient and effective way possible. I'd say that I am the motivational speaker of the team, the person that's always on top of everyone, making sure that everyone has enough energy. They call me hype man as well in the team, because I hype people a lot and I give a lot of compliments, only when needed, obviously, and only when deserved. But I'd say that's my main role.
And who keeps you motivated?
My past experiences, I'd say. Everything that I've gone through, whether it is related to business or even experiences on a personal level. One example is that I've always been the youngest in the room since I was a child. Throughout my academic career, I was always the youngest. I was always the youngest in the batch, the youngest in any social group that I'm around. That built a kind of a character in me that's always striving to do better. I don't think I've never reached a point in any kind of project that I worked on or any journey that I took on where I felt that I'm doing my best. I think I'm always trying to do better, but there's always room to improve. But my team members as well, definitely, they are they're the main drive and support system that I have, and I'm really, really grateful to have them working.
I must admit, I'm liking everything that you're saying about your company. I'm liking everything, the mentality, the lessons that you've gone through. But I'm 57 years old, and I'm listening to this, and you're all technology students. You were students, now you're running your businesses, and you're still in the education process, sounds like. What gives you the right to have a success in this industry? What was it that you kept on going? You talk about success quite a lot. So I'm listening to a young guy, but what I like with young guys like people like you is there's no fear. There's no fear with you guys. It's like there's no kind of problem that's too great. Is that what you're living through at the moment? And you're just not knowing the mistakes that you could be possibly falling into, or you're just keep on pushing forward?
Right. So we usually think about our mistakes after we do them, not before. And I think the lack of fear is one of the main elements that we have in the team. Definitely. We're young, we have a lot of energy, and we don't want to regret these few years of our lives where we can put in the effort and energy into something that would make us proud. However, one thing I want to comment on, I just mentioned an example. One of our brightest designers that we have on Pronto is called Mashal Al-Naimi. Her brand is called Mhafhaf. She's one of the designers that were selected by Her Highness Sheikha Mayasa to showcase in the CR Runway fashion show, the biggest fashion show in the world that happened during the previous World Cup. Mashal started her fashion design journey after she was 40 years old with zero experience in fashion design.
Whoa.
Right now, she is genuinely, and I really mean it, she's actually one of the brightest designers that we have on board. And it was an extreme pleasure for me to work with an individual like Mashal, because she showed me that really all of the external factors that you can have, age, status, nationality, things that you're going through in your life, if you really have passion into something and you really have it in yourself that you want to achieve something, you can easily do it. All you have to do is just definitely believe in yourself and believe in your capability of achieving such a thing. And do not get distracted by how difficult it is at the beginning, right? You have to jump at it. You have to, just blindly dive, and everything will work out. And that's what we also do in Pronto. Whenever we're faced with a new challenge, we just keep reminding ourselves that if others were able to do it, we can also do it. And obviously, part of this is that you need to work smart as well. Make sure that you take advantage of all the resources and the tools that you have around you. But everything is possible.
So, Pronto.
Right.
Quick.
Okay.
Pronto. What is it, and what's your uniqueness? What is that? What is your new unique proposition?
Right.
But what do you do for other people?
So after we joined Scale 7, we decided to reshape the idea, since the first idea of having an online catalog of all brands didn't work out.
And was that guided through Scale 7?
Obviously, they had a big role in helping us, reshape the concept, for sure. But what we reshaped Pronto into was basically an online platform that helps fashion enthusiasts explore the local fashion scene by providing them with two things: a one-stop platform with all the local niche designers and the first fashion movement of its kind. That's Pronto, in short. And that's when we began our journey in exploring the local fashion scene.
That sounded so small, but that's a big step to do. That's a huge step, right? And that
was.
And what did people think of that in the early days?
You guys are delusional. There's no way you can achieve such a thing. And whenever we talked about the local fashion industry, people used to say, do we even have enough designers in Doha to make such a business, right?
I hear Qatar is such a small marketplace. There's not a very big population,
right?
But there's enough, and there's enough to build good businesses.
Right. And that's what validated our idea. Whenever we used to hear comments like those, that validated the business proposition, because one of the main problems that Pronto is trying to tackle is that local designers don't get the exposure that they deserve. And the fact that you don't know of the designers gives me more validation, right?
Yeah.
So we started our research in the market and we started building our database of local designers. Believe it or not, that database consists of over 250 local designers. Even key players in the fashion industry in Doha couldn't even believe it.
I'm sorry to interact at these points, because these are big figures that you're talking about. Okay, not to some, but in Qatar, 250 designers. What was it like when they were told about you, or you told them about yourself?
Right.
How did they embrace you?
Mm-hmm. It was very. That's a very nice question. Honestly, it was a very interesting experience because we had two sides of that, right? So after we did our market studies and we identified the brands that we wanted to target first, it was a very tough experience, right? Few months of being in the office from early morning until late in the evening. And it was a lot of on-ground work that we needed to put in. But we would send a designer, for example, a WhatsApp message. And communication was very difficult, obviously, because it's a very niche market and it's a very young market. Designers are not even used to entities or platforms similar to Pronto reaching out to them.
Yeah.
So they would even find it difficult to interact with such an entity.
Of course.
So we had as a team to interact with them on a personal level, speak to them as colleagues, speak to them as people that are interested in their businesses and their brands, right? So before we reached out to any designer, we had to do a lot of research, background check, understand what kind of a designer they are and what kind of a brand they have. And obviously, one of our main principles in Pronto that we only specifically host brands with a unique identity and a unique story behind them.
But that's difficult to do, especially when you've got to commercialize, right?
Right. We just had to be different and be special, right? It's a very small market, and to be able to convince designers to believe in such an idea that hasn't even launched yet, you need to give them an incentive to believe in you and trust you, have faith in you, right? So we had to build a platform that isn't like our competitors, right? We didn't want to be the typical e-commerce platform that just connects business entities to customers and sit back and watch. No.
But I'm going to say to you, and I'm sorry for not letting you answer the question, because there's another one, right? Mm-hmm. The biggest thing is are you unique? Are you unique in what you do, or is there many competitors that you're up against?
Right. So we are definitely very unique, right? And that's why our slogan in Pronto, we say Pronto is not just an app, it's a fashion movement. And that's what makes us different. First of all, we allow our designers complete freedom in showcasing their work the way they want. And second, we focus solely on local designers, because we advocate And we say that we are here to help local designers get the exposure they deserve and get a kickoff in the market to help them grow and compete with the untouchable monster called the international brand, right?
But be honest, what you're doing, and I'm sorry, and this is where I get so frustrated. Okay, once you go on the internet, it's not a local brand anymore. It's an international brand because you're exposed to everybody. The biggest thing for this is that it just doesn't stop here. It just goes even bigger and bigger. So instead of thinking it just is a local brand, which I think we all make a problem of doing, it's a global brand. As soon as you start going online, then you're exposed to everybody.
For sure.
And that's the power.
I was sitting with Mariam the other day. Mariam Darwish is one of the brightest designers in Doha. She has her brand here. Her brand is also called Mariam Darwish. And I was having a meeting with her and I told her we are planning our launch event and we want our launch event to be the first ever launch event or fashion event in Doha that hosts over 30 local designers. She was like, yeah, I like the idea, but can you stop calling us local brands? I don't want to be a local brand. And I think that's where we need to just clarify the terminology here. So what we mean by a local brand, any brand that's based in Doha. But the majority of our brands are doing amazing, even internationally.
Yeah, of course.
We have Hissa Haddad, for example. She is one of the very few footwear designers, and she is a Qatari designer based in Doha that showcased one of her items to Queen Elizabeth herself in London Fashion Week, right?
Yeah.
We have Rooney Helou. He is an extremely talented Lebanese designer who's just around this time showcasing his latest collection in Paris Fashion Week. So they are international in essence, but what we mean by local is any brand that is based in Doha. However, our vision in Pronto is to expand regionally, and it's going to happen very soon according to our business plan. Our target is to expand into the closer, bigger markets like Dubai and Riyadh, and then from there grow into the Middle East and North Africa region.
I kind of, again, my thing is just to sit and talk to you and listen to your story. I didn't do any research on you. Some people are going to say, well, I would have done some research. I want to feel what you're telling me. I want to feel that chemistry. I want to feel the electricity coming from you. And you're very calm and articulate. But I can feel this passion that's wanting to get out, right? And I look at those things when you're representing these artists, these fashion artists, and I can see you brimming with excitement.
Right.
And when
Definitely.
you start talking about expansion, oh my word, you're already talking on this front, and you've started here, and now all of a sudden the world is your oyster, right?
Correct.
It's kind of, there must be so many different things. And how do you keep with the success you've had so far, how do you keep your feet on the floor? Or how do you keep that pushing the bar up a little bit more? How do you keep that going? How is that?
Yeah, so planning is very important, right? I mean, one thing was taking steps or tasks one at a time. Initially, our target was just to make a functioning application. We put our heads into it, and that was our main focus. But the main concept here is taking things one step at a time. When we first started interacting or reaching out to designers, our goal for the first year was to only have 15 designers. We were able to sign with over 50 designers in less than a year.
Whoa.
So we always try to be as conservative and as realistic as possible with our projections and our planning, but we take development one step at a time. The moment you overwhelm yourself with the amount of opportunities and things that you can achieve, that's when you lose it, right? That's when your attention gets very distracted and scattered around. So we had to be very focused. Obviously, the experts that we worked with through Scale 7 and mainly in the industry played a huge role in helping us understand how to structure our priorities. But to answer your question, very simply, you just have to take things one step at a time.
Okay, so you're trying to attract some of the best artists, fashion artists,
Correct,
in Qatar.
Mm-hmm.
What was those considerations that you had to take into account when you started this application?
Obviously, we had to understand the size of the brand and I'd say the personality of the designer that we're reaching out to. One of our team members that I haven't mentioned yet, her name is Adinda Maulina, and I really love talking about Adinda because she's genuinely the running engine of Pronto. She's our operations director. Adinda knows local designers by heart. She could see a random abaya in the street and she could tell you which local designer made that piece. She knows them by name, their personality, their story, their identity. If you ask her about any local designer, she could give you a 30 minutes long pitch about that brand. That was very important for us to consider. We're coming with a new idea, something that's very ambitious and risky, right? Something that wasn't done before. Of course. Right? We are proudly the first ever entity in Doha to bring over 50 local designers under one umbrella. Yeah. Right? So we were coming with a very ambitious proposal, right? To be able to win the designers' hearts, we had to know enough about them.
Of course, because you've got 250 designers and they're all competing with one another.
Definitely.
And you're going to put them all together in one application. And it's kind of fireworks might happen, right?
Exactly.
But I kind of, and this is what I like about what you've done, is that you've done it, as you said, step by step. Mm-hmm. What's those unique things that your application does? Why do you think that they come to you?
Right. I'll try to give you a very quick run of what I tell designers when I meet with them. I start the meeting as the following. I tell them, before I introduce Pronto to you, I would like to know about you. So tell me about your brand and tell me about yourself as the designer. After I hear their story, and that's my favorite part of any meeting, I think by now I have interviewed over 100 local designers in this very office space. After I hear enough about their brand, I start introducing Pronto to them. What is Pronto? What are the problems that we're trying to tackle with Pronto? There are 3 main problems. After interviewing that amount of designers, I realized that the majority of designers don't even know of each other, let alone the customers knowing of them. So one of the first main problems that we're trying to tackle is exposure. If designers try to freelance that themselves, they will get very overwhelmed because they are young business entities that don't have enough financial capabilities to achieve such a thing. And the second problem is logistics. The majority of these designers sell on Instagram, frankly speaking. And they don't really have a solid system of tracking their sales and inventory, orders, and performance in the market. And the same applies to customers as well, right? Logistics is definitely a problem for a customer because right now, if I want to buy from a local designer, I have to open their Instagram account, find them first. It's almost impossible to find a brand on
Yeah,
Instagram,
of course,
right?
yeah.
Unless I see that designer's account on my friend's story or on some random page.
Yeah.
I can't go on Instagram and search local designers and get a list of designers.
Yeah.
Instagram, at the end of the day, is a social media platform.
Yeah.
So it impacts the customer as well, because they have to go through a very long series of interactions, exchanging information on Instagram chat. So it's very long and exhausting. And the third and last problem is experience. And that is genuinely, for me at least, that is the main unique selling point about Pronto. Experience. Unfortunately, fashion in Doha has always been a process more than an experience. Doha is the biggest fashion retail market in the world, $2 billion, biggest per capita. There is a very strong purchasing power in this country.
Yeah, of course.
However, the attention is directed towards international brands,
Yeah.
right? And it's mainly a process. I know that brand or I know that designer as an entity that is going to selling me a fashion item. That's it. That's the end of my fashion experience. It's not really an experience. As I told you, majority of designers don't even know of each other. The customers don't know the person, the individual behind the brand, the story, the identity of the brand. And that's what we are trying to break
Look,
with
the
Pronto.
feel. It's kind
Exactly.
of, you've got to bring them to the table.
Definitely. And our main objective was to connect designers with each other and build a healthy ecosystem, a healthy fashion ecosystem, and then connect the customers and fashion enthusiasts with the designers. And mainly on a personal level, we want the customers to know the story behind the brand.
Yeah.
We see international brands, right, putting extravagant efforts into delivering their identity to their customers, and that's what makes them very successful. Gucci has taken an insane step of literally making a Hollywood movie to show the story behind Gucci. Dior, Valentino, they hosted some of their biggest exhibitions ever in this very building in M7 that costed them fortunes, but the exhibitions were mainly, the objective of these exhibitions was only to deliver the story of the brand, not to sell, not to showcase what kind of items they sell, but it was mainly to deliver the story of Valentino or the story of Dior to the customer. And that's what we need here in Doha. And that is definitely what makes Pronto special. And I'd say 90% of the meetings that I have with designers, when I reach this part of my pitch, that's when they kind of start fixing their posture and they get more attentive with me. And then they ask me, how are you going to achieve that? And that's when I tell them, Pronto is a movement. It's not a typical e-commerce platform.
Yeah.
We want to become the fashion directory in the region, the trendsetters, the first name to be mentioned whenever fashion is mentioned. We want to build a community, a thriving community, and to build an experience for both designers and customers.
I wanted to say so much when you were just talking. The community is jumping out at me right now. This community that you're building, and that's where the power is. It's all the other auxiliary stuff that's going to happen with this community. It's a movement.
Right, exactly.
It's a movement.
The elements of a successful fashion scene do exist in Doha. We have amazing creatives in Doha, photographers, videographers, graphic designers, filmmakers. We have a very unique set of creatives in this country. Designers, we have a lot of successful designers. Honestly, I can talk for hours and hours about how amazing the designers we have in Doha are, because I have interacted with them closely. We have a very, I'd say, enthusiastic community of customers, right? And again, you can add to it that they are it's a very rich community, right? And it's a very strong purchasing power. And then lastly, we have a very nice, I'd say, set of key players or organizations and entity that, play a huge role in the growth of the fashion industry. Scale 7, M7, Qatar Development Bank, Doha Design District, Qatar Museums, so on and so forth. There is a lot of entities that would help the fashion industry thrive and be better. The only issue we realized here is that these different elements are just not connected with each other.
You are so right. You're spot on. You really are. And I look at what you're saying. That's the winning piece, right? If we can get that right, and that's why we do the podcast. Because if you can connect people together, if you can kind of let people know it's okay to dream, it's okay to have an ambition, then anything can happen.
Exactly.
You never know who you're going to come across. You never know who your next meeting's going to be, and your world could change overnight.
For sure.
With this whole process, you've all of a sudden you've got this success you're dealing with. When you look back on your time, would you have changed anything?
I enjoyed the entire process, to be honest. The good and the bad. I could have changed certain things that are business related, I'd say, technical. However, I'm extremely happy and grateful for how things unfolded and how we reached to this stage that we're at right now in Pronto. I think all the hardships and difficulties that we went through as individuals and as a team had made us stronger and definitely more mature and knowledgeable, for sure. So no, I don't think I would want to change anything about the past experience. And I am very excited and looking forward to the next steps, knowing that we will still continue to go through and face a lot of difficulties and obstacles throughout the way.
So with the likes of this movement that's happening with fashion and the likes of Scale 7, which is, I love the place. What, for those people that want to get involved in this area, and there's loads of things that you can do at Scale 7, what's the best advice that you can give anybody right now to kind of follow those dreams?
I think this advice applies not only to businesses or individuals in the fashion industries, but in any industry, to be honest, because as I mentioned to you earlier, I have had an experience in sports tech and in tech in general. So it applies in any field in Doha, to be honest, because it's an amazing country to work in, especially to start a business in. You just have to take the first step of reaching out to people. It's as easy as dropping a text or making a phone call or visiting an office. A very big number of the brands that we hosted in Pronto had no clue what M7 is or Scale 7 is. It was their first ever visit to this place. And right now, they are taking part in the incubation and acceleration programs that Scale 7 is hosting. All they had to do is just say yes to one meeting proposal by Pronto. And that opened up so many doors and so many opportunities for them. So that's what I would say. Reach out to people. Don't feel that you need to do everything by yourself. There's always somebody around to help you out. So keep up with, first of all, explore the industry that you want to tap into. Read more about it. Social media makes it very easy. And then once you identify that organization, entity, individual, company, I don't know, even friend that could help you out with it, reach out to them. Speak to them. And I promise, things will just fall right in place. you really don't need to put so much effort into it. With Scale 7, all we had to do is just drop an email and saying, hey guys, listen, we're interested in participating in this incubation program. It's our first ever experience, though. We have no clue how this thing works, so just help us out. One thing we can tell you is that we are interested and we have the energy and motivation to take part in this incubation program. However, we just need some guidance. It was very easy. Scale 7 team, honestly, I really want to give them all credit. Aisha Rumehi, the CEO, Stefano, Hala, everyone. They're extremely, extremely supportive, very sweet, and very helpful. So don't be afraid of taking that first step of reaching out.
And I don't want to promote them so much. I know we're here, but they're a game changer, right?
Genuinely, they have had a lot of impact on us as individuals and as a company. I'd say they played the main role in our growth and us becoming the company that we are today. I think they also helped us gain a lot of validation in the market. I believe if I reach out to you as Pronto and you are a designer and I tell you I am a startup that is in partnership with Scale 7, I think that gives me more validation than if I would come to you as an independent company. So they gave us a lot of help and support, and anyone can get that type of support. It's not limited to Amara, for example, or to Pronto. It's for everyone, and anyone can take advantage of such opportunities. You just have to, first of all, expose yourself to these opportunities and do not fear reaching out. Just do it.
We spoke about this, no fear.
Yeah.
And to come into a place like this and to have other operators, other fashion designers, other people that's trying to build their business, that's quite intimidating. But what I love about this place is that they kind of embrace everybody. Anybody that comes through the door, they embrace. And I've seen what they've done over a period of time, and it's really, really exciting. Especially when I see people like yourself that's part of their growth, and to listen to your story is just incredible. I really appreciate what you've spoke about today, your honesty, your openness. I think you're going to be able to help so many people with your comments and your words. Yeah. You've got an exciting future. Please talk to me again when you start to expand, because your stories, you've been learning as you go along, but you've tried to keep it simple, one step at a time.
Right. We had to explore even international fashion markets. I myself have traveled to places like Paris and Berlin to understand how does the fashion scene operate in these cities, right? Who are definitely in a much more advanced stage than what we have here in Doha. And basically what I'm trying to say is that it requires a lot of learning. You need to expose yourself to different markets, environments, people, to grow your own idea. Take whatever could help you out in your journey, and don't get overwhelmed by how intense it could be sometimes, right? I remember when I went to Berlin, I reached out to this brand called 032C there, and I just told them, can I just drop by and give you a visit? I am a co-founder of a fashion tech startup in Doha. They were very welcoming. They showed me around. They showed me even their future, their next collection. And one thing that I learned there is the importance of collaboration, how important collaboration could be in any fashion market, right? So that was one thing that I could learn from that experience. I took notes of it, and I was like, I need to bring this back with me to Doha. However, the amount of information that I was receiving in that meeting, it was too overwhelming. Yeah. I remember leaving the place and I was like, there is no chance we could pull this off in Doha. This is just too much. But then after I let it marinate and kind of settle in, I realized that I should keep and stay focused and take whatever could serve me as an individual and serve the company, and just let go of the rest. Just don't get overwhelmed by it. There's a lot of technical steps that we have to take, and we are already taking to achieve that goal of expansion. First of all, connecting with investors. I think we have done an amazing job in developing our concept, our business, our idea, even the product. It's a very well-rounded product at this point. So right now we are at a stage where the main focus is on fundraising. We are very soon closing a deal with Hatcher Plus, the online venture capital. It's the biggest online venture capital in the world. And we met with the founder of Hatcher Plus here, which is a very nice example of how random it could be, right? It could be very, very unexpected to find an opportunity. All you have to do is just be there. Make sure that you are available whenever an opportunity is around. Joan Sharp was here to give a masterclass, an investment masterclass. We attended the session and we were interacting with him during the session. I believe he found that interesting and he liked it. After the meeting, after the masterclass, we gave him an elevator pitch that's no longer than 2 minutes. He said, I'm ready to match whatever investment you have received so far, immediately in cash.
Oh my word.
And he gave me his business card and we connected after that. And right now we are finalizing a deal that we will sign with them. So that's one important thing that is going to help us grow internationally and expand the experience that we are going to receive from our international investors. Another thing is participating in international events and being out there, visiting different markets. We have had very close interactions and meetings with designers in Dubai, with designers in Europe. We are going to travel to Lisbon, Portugal in just a couple of weeks from now to attend the Web Summit. It's one of the biggest entrepreneurial conferences in the world. So we're going to pitch Pronto there, present Pronto, and exchange information and experiences with similar startups to us.
Unbelievable. I want to take you back because you're technical guys, all of a sudden you're doing finance, you're kind of sales, a CEO, you've got all these balls that you've got to juggle, but it didn't sound like you had to work too hard at raising the finance. It was just by chance and asking the right questions and being open to meeting people.
Exactly.
Making the effort.
One of the things that John Sharp mentioned in that masterclass, he asked how many investors should you meet to land an investment? People were saying 10, 50, 100. And his answer was all of them. You just need to knock on all of the doors.
All of the doors.
Exactly.
All of the doors.
It really comes naturally. And I think the biggest changing points or turning points in Pronto's journey were coincident, like complete coincidences, like chance. We just got lucky. But I don't want to say that we got lucky because we made sure that we are present whenever the opportunity is around.
It's okay to say lucky. Yeah. You've just got to work your backside off. If you're doing that, you deserve all the luck in the world. You deserve all the luck. I was at an event last night, and it was we were the last two people. It was a demo day. There was a big demo day in Mandarin Hotel. And I was taught the last one that I came to, one of the guys that was on one of the stands, and I'm talking to him for 15, 20 minutes. He looked up to me, he said, you're a fantastic salesperson. I said, but I haven't sold anything to you. I've not sold anything. And he said, but all the way that you've conducted yourself, you're building for the sale. I said, I'm building for that relationship, not the sale. And he said he said I've learned more in this 15 minutes than I've learned in the last year.
That's amazing. That's
now,
actually amazing.
But it follows on, which is great for me, and it's affirmation for me because I learn from people like yourself. that you've got to keep on doing it, but sometimes you don't have to sell. Sometimes all you've got to do is just get your name out there.
Exactly.
And you believe, if you believe with that desire and you believe with that kind of determination and work ethic, then people are obviously, they're going to give you some money. If they believe in what you're trying to do, and also trying to believe in other people too, because what you're doing is not just building a platform for yourselves, you're building it for others and the power of others.
Correct.
And that's what I like about your startup. And I it's been an absolute privilege coming to talk to you today.
Thank you so much. Likewise, honestly, it's an amazing opportunity. This is my first ever podcast. I love it. I'm going to start.
You've got to start
having more of these podcasts. I'm actually going to start a Pronto podcast.
I want you to go, because I think you're going to inspire a lot of people out there. And I really do. I think you'll inspire a lot of people out there. And your work ethic and the way that you've done things, in the way that you've had to pick yourself back up and kept going, moving forward. And sometimes you have to go backwards to go forwards. I think this is going to be an inspirational talk to a lot of people that are facing those same issues that you're facing, and that you've given them some answers today. So I got to thank you, everybody. Keep on looking for Pronto. You've got to look them up. There's going to be videos and everything in the background so that they can look at your your Instagram, etc. But what I want to say to you guys is I want to not kind of go over everything that was said today, but there's some things that I really do want you to consider. The things is that you've got to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, if it's not a desire of yours, then don't even start it, because it's gonna require so many different hard work, determination. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be all those things, and if you love what you do, it's easier to get over those things. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and it's one of the most important things, is make sure that when you get the opportunity to introduce yourself to everybody, you never know whose hand you're going to be shaking and what friendships going to be and bonds that are going to be built just with that. So you've got to go out there, and you never know. It's life changing. I'm telling you, it's life changing, and you've got to have this amazing work ethic. Never stop believing. It doesn't matter how many people look up to you and say that this isn't possible. We're telling you it is. I don't care if you knock me down 20 times, I'm going to get up 21 times and I'm going to keep on powering forward. You knock me down another few more times, I'm going to get back up and I'm going to keep on going forward, because I'm not accepting anything but making sure that I get to where I want to go. And this is all about where you want to go. So never give in, never give up, and never listen to other people that don't believe in your journey. Listen, do your market research. And that's another one, brings me on to another one. Make sure that you find out that you're not finding something that suits you. Make sure you're finding what your customer's looking for. Okay, look at make sure that you understand what problems are out there and what you're going to solve. And then you're going to have a business like Pronto, where it's going to go from strength to strength. Okay, go out there, make a difference, and achieve your goals, achieve your dreams and aspirations. Anybody can do it. Okay, anyway, I've done too much talking there. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Pronto.
Thank you,
Thank
Steve.
you so much indeed.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for listening on this one. This is a special one. Keep looking. Next one, it's going to be a great one.